Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be looking at archaeological finds that prove Christ's existence. We're going to be unearthing Christ and affirm his existence through these discoveries. So let's get started here with the first one. The first discovery is the Pilate Stone. So in 1961, archaeologists uncovered a limestone inscription at Caesarea Maritima bearing the name Pontius Pilate, prefect of Judea. This confirmed the existence of the Roman governor who oversaw Jesus' trial and crucifixion. The Gospels clearly record that they bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor. Pilate is also featured in John 18:29-38, where he questions Jesus before ultimately sentencing him to death. This find affirms the historical reliability of the Gospel narratives. Next is the Caiaphas ossuary. So in 1990, a highly decorated ossuary was found in Jerusalem, inscribed with the name Joseph, son of Caiaphas. Most scholars believe this belonged to the high priest Caiaphas, who played a central role in Jesus' trial. The Gospel of Matthew says, the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the place of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, where they plotted to arrest Jesus. In John 11:49-50, Caiaphas even declares, "It is better for you that one man die for the people." The discovery reinforces the presence of this key historical figure. The Nazareth House excavation. So in 2009, archaeologists uncovered a simple first-century home in Nazareth, complete with stone tools and pottery consistent with the time of Jesus. This was significant because skeptics once questioned whether Nazareth even existed in the first century. The Bible, however, says that God sent the angel Gabriel to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, and Jesus is referred to as Jesus of Nazareth throughout the Gospels. This discovery supports the biblical identification of Jesus' hometown. Next is the James ossuary. So the James ossuary revealed in 2002 bears the inscription, "James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus." While its authenticity has been debated, many scholars believe it may be genuine. This directly aligns with Matthew 13:55, where people asked, "Isn't his mother's name Mary, and aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas?" The Apostle Paul also refers to James, the Lord's brother, in Galatians 1:9. If authentic, this artifact is the earliest physical reference to Jesus Christ, tying him to known historical relatives. Next is the Pool of Bethesda. The Pool of Bethesda. Long believed to be mythical, the Pool of Bethesda was discovered in Jerusalem near the Sheep Gate, just as described in John 5:2. Now there is in Jerusalem near the Sheep Gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 colonnades. In this very spot, Jesus healed a man who had been paralyzed for 38 years. The archaeological find matches the Gospel's detailed description, supporting John's accuracy in the documenting real places. Next is the Pool of Siloam. So during sewer repairs in 2004, workers in Jerusalem discovered the ancient Pool of Siloam, confirming the account in John 9:6-7. "Go, wash in the Pool of Siloam." So the man went and washed and came home seeing. This pool was where Jesus healed a man who had been blind from birth. Discovery validated both the location and the Gospel's geographical precision, offering more credibility to John's eyewitness testimony. The first century synagogue at Magdala. In 2009, a synagogue from the time of Jesus was found in Magdala, the hometown of Mary Magdalene. The Gospels repeatedly note Jesus' custom of preaching in synagogues. Jesus went throughout Galilee teaching in their synagogues, claiming the good news of the kingdom. There in Matthew 4:23. The discovery confirms the presence of active Jewish religious life in the area and likely represents the kind of place where Jesus himself would have taught. The Crucified Man ossuary. In 1968, archaeologists found the remains of a man named Yehohanan, who had been crucified in the 1st century. A nail was still embedded in his heel bone, providing the first physical evidence of Roman crucifixion. This aligns with description of Jesus' crucifixion as they crucified him in Mark 15:24, and the resurrected Jesus tells Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands," in John 20:27. This find confirms that nailing victims to a cross, especially through the feet, was historically accurate. The Galilean boat, the Jesus boat. In 1986, a severe drought revealed the remains of a first-century fishing boat buried in mud near the Sea of Galilee. Measuring about 27 feet long, the boat fits the type used during Jesus' time. While not directly linked to Jesus, it mirrors the vessels described in Mark 4:1. He got into a boat and set on it out in the lake, and Matthew 8:23. Then he got into the boat and his disciples followed him. This discovery offers a vivid image of what travel and ministry on the lake looked like in Jesus' day. The Temple Warning Inscription. In Jerusalem, archaeologists found a limestone slab written in Greek that warned Gentiles not to enter the inner courts of the Second Temple under penalty of death. The inscription reads, "No foreigner may enter within the balustrade. Whoever is caught will be personally responsible for his ensuing death." This validates Acts 21:27-29, where Paul is accused of bringing Greeks into the temple and defiling it. It also aligns with Ephesians 2:14, where Paul says that Christ has broken down the middle wall of separation between Jew and Gentile, referring to this very wall. Herod's Palace at Caesarea Maritima. The ruins of Herod the Great's palace have been uncovered at Caesarea Maritima. This site aligns with Acts 23:26, where the Apostle Paul is held under Roman guard and appears before Governor Felix, Festus, and King Agrippa. In Acts 25:13-14 it says, "King Agrippa and Bernice have arrived at Caesarea to pay their respects to Festus." These ruins help verify the historical setting where Paul defended himself and preached the gospel to Roman rulers, moments deeply tied to the broader mission of Christ through his apostles. Synagogue in Capernaum. Excavations in Capernaum on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee revealed the remains of an ancient synagogue built on top of an older black basalt structure, believed to be the very synagogue where Jesus taught. Mark 1:21 tells us, when the Sabbath came, Jesus went to the synagogue and began to teach. In Luke 4:31-36, Jesus also casts out an unclean spirit there. The foundation of the earlier structure dates to the 1st century, confirming the New Testament's depiction of Jesus teaching regularly in synagogue in Galilee. Next is Peter's house in Capernaum. Archaeologists also believe they have found the house of Simon Peter in Capernaum. Beneath an octagonal Byzantine church lies the 1st century home with graffiti referencing Jesus and Peter, suggesting early Christian reverence to the site. Mark 1:29-31 records, as soon as they left the synagogue, they went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they immediately told Jesus about her. This aligns geographically and architecturally with the remains discovered near the synagogue ruins. The Ossuary of Alexander, son of Simon the Cyrene. A bone box discovered in Jerusalem bears the inscription, "Alexander, son of Simon." While we cannot be certain, many scholars link this to Mark 15:21, which says, "A certain man from Cyrene, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing by on his way in from the country, and they forced him to carry the cross." The fact that Mark named Simon's sons suggests they were known to the early Christian community, and this ossuary provides a rare, plausible archaeological link to a person mentioned in the Passion narrative. Next is the Nazareth inscription. The 1st century imperial edict found on a marble slab linked to Nazareth decrees that anyone caught disturbing graves and removing bodies from sealed tombs would face capital punishment. Scholars believe it was likely issued during Emperor Claudius's reign, possibly in response to early Christian claims of Jesus' resurrection and the empty tomb. The inscription underscores the real-world concern over tomb robbery claims and lends weight to the gospel account of the resurrection. Next is the Talpiot tombs, the Jesus family ossuaries. So discovered in East Talpiot, Jerusalem in 1980, this rock-cut tomb contained 10 ossuaries, including one inscribed Yeshua bar Yehoseph, or Jesus, son of Joseph. Although controversial and widely debated, The assemblage has been interpreted by some to reflect Jewish family groups in the Second Temple period. The Megiddo Church Mosaic. At Tel Megiddo in Israel stands the ruins of a small 3rd century Christian prayer hall. One mosaic includes an inscription that reads, "The God-loving Akeptus has offered the table to God Jesus Christ." This is one of the earliest archaeological references to the divinity of Jesus, indicating that early believers worshipped Jesus as God centuries before Constantine. Kursi, or the Miracle of the Swan site. Located in the Golan Heights by the Sea of Galilee, Kursi preserves a Byzantine-era church built over a site long identified by tradition as the location where Jesus performed the miracle of the swan. Archaeologists have found Aramaic inscriptions and traces of a Jewish or Judeo-Christian community dating to the 1st centuries AD. The Tel Dan Stel, or the House of David inscription. Discovered in northern Israel, the Tel Dan Stel is a 9th century BC Aramaic inscription in which an enemy king claims victory over the House of David. It is the earliest extra-biblical reference to King David and confirms that David's dynasty was a recognized political entity in the ancient Near East. The Mount of Olives burial caves. Archaeologists have uncovered 1st century tombs and ossuaries in the Mount of Olives, many of which belong to prominent Jewish families. This area was known to be a key burial location in Jerusalem during Jesus' time. The discovery provides geographical and cultural context for Jesus' frequent visits to the Mount of Olives and the Garden of Gethsemane, where he prayed before his arrest. It also fits the gospel detail that Jesus was buried in a rock-hewn tomb nearby, owned by Joseph of Arimathea. The Pool of Gibeon, or the water system in Gibeon. Excavations at El Jib, the site of ancient Gibeon, reveal a massive and sophisticated water shaft system carved into bedrock, dated to the Iron Age, but still in use during the Second Temple period. While not directly referenced in the Gospels, the city of Gibeon and its enduring infrastructure highlight the real inhabited geography that surrounded Jerusalem and was well known to Jesus and his audience. These preserved features reflect the physical world of biblical history, strengthening the credibility of the land's described terrain and settlements. Next is the Temple Mount Sifting Project. Since 2004, volunteers and archaeologists have recovered hundreds of thousands of artifacts from soil illegally removed from the Temple Mount. These include pottery, coins, tools, and religious items dating to the Second Temple period, the time of Jesus. Finds such as ritual purification vessels and Herodian architecture fragments strongly support the gospel setting of the temple complex where Jesus taught, overturned tables, and debated the religious leaders. Next to the Syriac Gospel of Matthew manuscript. A 7th century palimpsest recently revealed under UV light includes a Syriac translation of the Gospel of Matthew, dated to the 3rd century. This is among the earliest non-Latin, non-Greek textual witnesses to Jesus' teachings outside the Masoretic or Greek traditions. So, from all this, we see that Christ is not a myth, he is Messiah. Archaeology affirms what Scripture has declared all along. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, not in legend, but in time and space. These discoveries are not the foundation of our faith, but they are faithful witnesses for it. They testifying that God's word is trustworthy and its promises are sure. And in Luke 1:4, it says, "So that you may know the certainty of the things that you have been taught." So with these archaeological findings, we know for certain of the things that we have been taught about Jesus because we have true evidence of them happening. And guys, with that, I hope you liked this video. If you did, leave a like on it. Share it to somebody you might find interesting, whether they like archaeological stuff or they like biblical stuff, or they like both. This would be a great video for them, so share it. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload, and follow me on Instagram, links in the description, at the Seek the Kingdom Daily. Alright guys, God bless.